Hi, it's Juris and welcome to the Tattoo Shop Talk. And today we will take a look at these batteries from Critical and from Bishop. I will compare these two batteries. These are products from sort of higher shelf and they both are good. And still there's one that I prefer more than other, and let's see which one is my favorite and why. I'll do my usual products ups and downs and who these products might be for. I'll try to compare them side by side and keep in mind that this is only based on my experience and this is my opinion about these products. A quick disclaimer out of the way, these products were provided by Barber DTS, so thanks to them. I don't have to say anything good or bad and they have not seen this video beforehand. Barber DTS, thank you, and also there's a link to their webpage and video descriptions, so if you're not familiar with what they are, check them out. I would assume that these two brands, Critical and Bishop, agree that each other's products are good because lately they have made one product or product bundle, I don't know how to call it, together, so I guess they are friends and they know that their products are on a good level and good enough for each other. Let's start with price. Critical is more expensive than Bishop. Critical price is around 300 euros, and then depends which one you choose because there's a bigger version and there's a version with a cute name Shorty. This one is 309 and this one is 289 euros, that is. Then add tax on top of it if you have to pay VAT. So the price is not cheap, and Bishop's battery on a Barber is 249.99 and then add tax on top of it if you pay one. Bishop's battery comes out more budget friendly, but I think if you are looking at products at this price range, then that little bit of difference of price will not be a deal breaker. But still, so roughly 50 euros is roughly 50 euros. Now let's start with ergonomics. They both feel solid, well built, well done. When you hold them, start and stop button right here is at the reach of a thumb. On Bishop it's a bit higher up. Still, if you're working with one hand and you want to start and stop it, it's just up here and bam, bam. And in regards of ergonomics, if I have to compare them, I would give my thumbs up to Critical, be it smaller version or bigger version, still all the buttons are at the reach of your thumb. So if you work with one hand, you can both access run and stop button and also voltage up and down. If you work with Bishop, you can still reach start and stop button. It's a bit more complex to get to the plus and minus. If you're working with one hand, you have to do a bit more sort of uncomfortable. In my opinion, you have to do some weird stuff. Obviously, use your other hand and off you go. Still, I prefer ergonomics in terms of buttons for the Critical battery. And in regards of ergonomics and sort of shape of them, Critical has this sort of squared off side, while Bishop is all round. This is more aesthetically pleasing. At the same time with this one, I know which way buttons are facing, especially when it's wrapped. I know that all the buttons are here, also the screen is there. With this one, especially when it's wrapped, you sometimes get those annoying moments where you can't find where the button is, then you have to sort of look up and find it. Not a big deal, but when you work you get those like little moments of frustrations where you're like, I'm sure give it a few weeks and you will get used to it. You will sort of find where it's orientated. Since I'm switching in between these two, I get a bit frustrated every now and then with this one. And then yeah, obviously it's harder to reach plus and minus, so you have to use other hand. With this one it's all ping pong, all there. And as I have mentioned in my previous reviews, the squared off shape would prevent it from rolling, let's say, off your station. Because here it cannot roll more than the squared off part. With this one it can roll. It have never happened, especially it is wrapped, it has less tendency to roll, but still I don't even want to have that thought in the back of my head that my tattoo machine can roll and fall off the station. And this thing together is pretty pricey. It's more expensive than my first car was. It's rolling again. Now let's talk screens. Screens are big enough and bright enough on both the two machines, but for some reason I prefer Bishop's because it's like bigger digits and the things that are displayed are more clear. You clearly understand what it's meant to be, while Critical is tiny bit smaller and then you have to look for some like symbols and stuff. You have to know what they mean. What I mean by that, for example, when you run it, a little dot is blinking on a Critical. So sometimes when you disconnect it, you can press it and it's running, it's a little dot blinking. Probably it will switch off after some time. So that's those little things that you have to know if it's blinking or not. While on this one, boom, a clear button, sort of a pedal type of a thing is on the screen. So that means that it's running. Also shows when it's disconnected, boom, It's right there, and that's to avoid these moments where it's running, you connect it, and it's running, and if there's a needle, bad things can happen. On this one, you have to know that that means that this little dot is blinking. Connect and it's running, sort of less obvious thing. And also, if you want to switch on Kickstarter, just double tap the run button when it's off. Bam, and a little lightning bolt appears, and then you know that the Kickstart is on. On these batteries, Kickstart is on at all times. Here's a tricky question about Kickstart. If Bishop themselves recommend they want to be worked at 6 to 8 volts, something like that, not more than 8, and the Kickstart of it is at 9 volts, so it jumps up to 9 for like 0.2 seconds and then runs it to your set voltage. Will it mess it up, my tattoo machine? And if I will reach out to Bishop and be like, I use your machine with your battery, and they'll say like, oh, if you use Kickstart, then it's on you and it voids warranty. That's my little philosophical question. If there are any people who have dealt with Bishop, what do you think? Would that be an issue or not? And with that, let's slide into technicalities, how it is to work with them. As I mentioned, this one has a Kickstart and it's optional. This one has Kickstart at all times. And for that, I'll give it to Bishop, because that option is there. You can run it. If you don't want it or it annoys you, you switch it off. With Critical, it's on at all times. If you work from around 7 volts and up, it's not that much of a big deal. You can sort of hear it's around there. At 8. At 8 it's like nothing. When you notice it, it's when it's at lower voltage, let's say 5.5, you run it. And then you get that whoom. If you forget about it, it can spook you a bit. You're like, ooh, what was that? Not a big deal. On these type of machines, it's something you want to get used to it. Where I was thinking it might be an issue. Let's say you want to convert some coil type of machines or some different motor type of machines. Because this type of like the shorty battery would be almost like nothing on other machines. And I don't know if that Kickstart can or cannot damage, let's say, coil or some other than these type of machines. So there, plus goes to Bishop, because if you don't want it, you can switch it off. On this one, that's not an option. It's on at all times. Other technicalities like weight of these batteries, and at this point, it doesn't really matter. There's options light and lighter, and same applies to Bishop's battery, keeping in mind that they had a first version that was a bit heavier and a bit bigger, and I think it had a less battery time. And comparing light and lighter, in some instances I prefer a shorter one. For example, when I do lines, I actually prefer a bit heavier one. I don't know what it is, or maybe it's my brain playing tricks with me, but with that little bit of extra weight, like this one was like 42 grams and this one is 56 or 57, something close to that. It just feels more solid in the hands, and when I do lines, for me it feels more sort of stable with the heavier battery. For shading and coloring type of things, I would prefer a smaller one, because then it almost feels like it's just a weight of tattoo machine, and you can feel like a fairy waving your wand around and be all fancy in a shop, and you can brag to your colleagues, look how light it is, look how small it is. I find it cute. Now, battery life on Critical, this one was around 8 hours, I might be wrong, I'll put it on the screen. And this one was like 2.5, 3 hours. It has never been an issue for me, because when I work, I don't do sessions that big for me, for them to run out. I would set up 2 machines, I would have a liner and shader, I would use one, I would use other, and it's fine, and afterwards there's still some juice left, but I'll put it on the charger, and it's all good. The only time it has been a problem when I forgot to charge it, so I forgot to charge one, I just use other one instead. For Bishop, battery life is crazy. On paper it says it's up to 12 hours, that's on a full charge, obviously it depends on what voltages you are using. Still 12 hours, that's crazy. People don't do 12-hour sessions. It's one of those things, you wrap it in the morning and the whole day you don't have to think about it and you can work away. 12 hours, it's crazy. It's one of those situations where you forget where your charger is. And one thing I can say about Bishop, it's cooler. If we are talking cool factor, then when you buy Bishop's tattoo machine, you can match it to your tattoo machine. On their webpage, there's also other colors. Downside is that they are not always in stock. So in that regard, you could match to other tattoo machines if you have some specific colors. Cool factor is definitely up on Bishop, especially if you have wands, you can color match them, and you have this cool one set, one sort of color scheme, you know, this type there, and it's all matchy and it's all round. So I think it looks better, in my opinion, the cool factor. Now let's do sort of accessories or connectivity type of things. So there I have to mention that Critical have both RCA and 3.5mm jack connection. So that opens you to more connection types to use with more different tattoo machines, while Bishop at the moment is only RCA, clearly intended to be used with their tattoo machines, so that all makes sense. On accessories, Critical stands out way more, obviously at expense of your precious monies, and you can get all sorts of additional stuff. Now with these Connect Critical batteries, because the older ones were not, they were just wireless batteries, these are Connect. For these Connect ones, you can connect them to wireless pedal. Some people sometimes worry about some sort of delay. I don't see much of a delay. It's obviously not instant, but it's very, very quick. So this is from the press to it starts running. So it's like a half a second. I heard people mentioning it, that's why I'm mentioning it here. As for working without pedal, for me it took around 2 weeks. 2 uncomfortable weeks where I was just stomping floor for no reason, looking for a pedal. Then I got used to it and I'm fine without one. But for some it can be a deal breaker, because some people also in an unboxing video mention in the comments that to have a pedal it's very important for them, and that sort of made them to sway sort of towards this system. So for many that habit is a bit more in them and they need a pedal, so here's your option. I mean, I use it every now and then. Sometimes I start to use it, then I forget to use it and I just keep on pressing with my finger. I noticed the times when I used it the most when I did a couple of times those inner lip tattoos, and it's very important, like you hold that lip, you don't want to let it go because you will lose a stencil, so you can sort of do a little line, then you need to wipe it. You don't want it to be running, you're focusing, your hands are there, so then it's comfortable that you have that option to just tap. In this combination, this is very helpful. Then I would use one of these depending on how I feel in the day, and then pedal comes in super handy. And as a pedal, it don't has to be even on a floor, you can have it somewhere on a station and do the whatever body part thing where you can tap it. And also the format is really nice. The machine bag, the bigger machine bags fits over it, so it's packed on the floor, and that's why it looks so good. It looks almost as brand new, if not as brand new. A little note, battery ran out after 2 months of using it, but obviously it's a quick change of battery, and still I think it is something that should be mentioned. AAA batteries, easy to change, and I had these battery packs so I could still use machines without pedal. Maybe if it's more stronger batteries that last longer, it will last longer, but I think it was around 2 months when they ran out. On other wireless pedal with the power supply, they kept on running for around a year of using it. All the accessories, and my favorite accessory, which first seemed the silliest, was the charging station, because now they have a dedicated place, so after you're done working, you unpack, you do your thing, and you put them in there, one, another, and it starts to charge. This thing has magnetic base, so where we charge our batteries it's like a metal shelf, so it's stuck and solid to it. Still it has this rubbery sort of bottom, so it's not sliding around, while other batteries you have to do all this stuff, boom, and then they're just there, and that doesn't seem so safe. They can dingle dangle around. Luckily they light enough, if they hanging off the side it will not disconnect and fall, but still this feels a lot safer. Yeah, and it shows that it's charging. CH, charging. Speaking of letters that are showing, on a Bishop there's these mystery letters. Let's press up and down together and it shows LN, and you press power button and it switches to CL. Some people said that judging by the letters it's lining and coloring, which would make sense. CL and LN. Somebody mentioned that there might be a pedal coming on the way, so we'll see if that's true, because then it brings this battery accessory wise to the same level as Critical. And it would be pretty cool, and I would like to see what type of pedal they would come up with, because probably it would be something same but different, and that's always interesting what brands come up with, what type of solutions they find to add to their products, to their existing product line. If it's for coloring and for lining, then I would like to find out how to set those settings in, because it would be also an option if you could set in coloring and lining. If anyone have figured out what those letters are for, again, use comment section, let us know, share the knowledge and solve that mystery. Now, who are these batteries for? well, the obvious for anyone who wants to start to use battery packs. And I would say there are specific sort of apps for ones and for others. In my opinion, like, I prefer Ergonomics here. And still, if you have not worked with one or another, you're not used to one sort of layout and all that, so that wouldn't matter. You'll just buy one, few weeks, and ergonomics wise you'll be fine with it. You will know without looking where all the buttons are and how the things function. So this is just my personal favorite, and I have worked with these types more than I have worked with this one. And like, if you're shopping for Bishop and looks matter, I don't see a reason why not to match your machine with the battery and have this cool set. What matters is the battery life. Like 12 hours, that's a lot of hours. Like, nobody does 12-hour like continuous just running machines, and that could be a deal breaker for at least some, if not many. And 12 hours of runtime, it's around the time that you get from these two together. So you buy one battery and off you go. Pack it in the morning and have the session without any worrying will the battery last or anything. It will. And at the end of the day, put it on the charge and you are ready for the next day. I would say this one, Bishop's battery, is for one who do long sessions and don't want to worry about charging battery. Critical batteries in combination with Connect pedal would be a great option for those who cannot live without one. I have read in the comments on the channel that many people cannot live without pedal. Here's your option. Now you can easily switch systems without sacrificing any sort of habits that you have. It's not cheap, but you pay for comfort and potentially working without at least cables, still having a pedal, but maybe that will save your health, and that's also an important thing where you want to invest, because that will pay back in a long term. So for those who cannot live without pedal for one or another reason, here's your option. For those who do long sessions, there's your option, up to 12 hours, obviously depending on what voltages you work, but we have these options here. So long sessions, people who cannot live without pedal. My personal favorite is a critical one, the Ergonomics. I'm so used to it and I find it so comfortable that you can work with it. You have everything with a reach of your thumb, be it bigger or smaller battery. On the smaller battery you can sort of more mispress, but it's lighter. So Ergonomics, where I can find which way it's facing at all times, because I know that there's this squared off bit, so I know I don't even have to look, I feel where the buttons are. While at this one, I have not used to it that much, it's all round, so when it's wrapped, sometimes I'm looking for battery, I'm spinning it around, and that annoys me, like a tiny bit, but it still annoys me. Also that bit where I mentioned that there's no way that it can roll off your station, so it's here. It have never happened, especially when it's packed, and still I don't want to even have that thought in the back of my head that it might happen, that I might walk away and suddenly for some reason it will roll off the station. Like, you know, somebody can bump into it and it starts to roll and off your big investment goes. And now you, please share your thoughts. What are the things, what are those characteristics that you are looking in the batteries? What are most important for you? So please leave that in the comment section and do all the good YouTube stuff. Press like if you want to be awesome, share this video. Also check video description, there's a bunch of playlists. Also links to other stuff, and check Barber DTS, link in the video description. Check also this playlist, it's a playlist of other tattoo related product reviews. Hope you will find something useful there and see you in the future episodes. Thank you for watching, bye, and stay safe. Always stay safe. Bye, peace.